Hello, welcome to another wonderful episode of Purana Talk with Alan and Leon. We're in the Garuda Purana.
Way in the Garuda Purana. We finished Kanda 1, we're doing Kanda 2 now, and we're so excited about that. We're only in chapter 4, so we're just starting out, and it's like it tells you to sort of forget about that other Purana. This is the Garuda Purana, and then later on I guess you get to decide. Chapter 4 starts out with Lord Krishna said, whatever sin a man commits consciously or unconsciously stands in need of purification by means of atonement. So you do something bad, you need to atone. This is important. The wise one should first perform 10 types of baths, beginning with bhasma. These should be observed as far as possible for 6 years repeatedly. And bhasma is ash. 10 types of bath.
Followed by ashes.
Beginning with ashes.
Beginning with ashes. They went through this list before. I vaguely remember.
So they're referencing a previous list.
Yeah, there is a list of 10 baths.
Yeah.
We had it. But
okay.
I think it was in the first Kanda.
Yeah, it definitely was in the first Kanda. And a while back, but I think we might have captured it.
I think we did.
You'll have to go back in the archives yourself. The librarian is out of town. Stanza 3, or all right, I'm gonna go back to the previous sentence because we may have forgotten by now due to our ramblings about these baths. These should be observed as far as possible for 6 years repeatedly. So how often do you have to do these 10 baths? I mean, do you have to do them every day, or do you just have to do them once a year for 6 years?
I think it varies depending on the bath. But
we welcome your input. You can just add notations on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, you can leave comments.
You can see how often we look. No, nobody's leaving comments. Okay, there should be observed as far as possible for 6 years repeatedly, or half of that, or half of that, or half of the half of that. Just do it, damn it. If you can't do the whole thing, do part of it. I love that, should be observed for 6 years, or half of that, or half of that, or half of that. Then, as far as he should donate 10 gifts. Now hear about them. The 10 gifts, beginning stanza 4. Cow, earth, gingelly seeds, gold, butter, cloth, grains, sugar, silver, and salt. These are known as 10 gifts. Dashadana, or something like that. They haven't told us. But 5. He should make these gifts to those who have come during atonement. Then he should cross the river Vaitarani, full of pus and blood. At Yama's door, he should donate the Vaitarani cow. A black cow with black udders is called Vaitarani. Gingelly seeds, iron, gold, cotton, salt, 7 grains, earth, and cow, these are all pure. These 8 precious gifts should be given to a learned Brahmin by the dying person. I shall now tell you about the form of pada.
How many kinds of grain?
7. I shall now tell you about the form of pada. And pada, would mean seat or station. Place, but it has the, Indo-European pada for foot in it. So we're in 9. Umbrella, shoes, clothes, ring, gourd, seat, vessel, and food. These are the 8 kinds of pada.
What verse?
So they're like foundational things, necessities for existence. This is 9. I would say something like that. Foundational, maybe. Is a good
And how
pada.
many things?
8. No, it was 8 precious gifts to a Brahma. 8 kinds of pada. Yes, 8. So they could be used on a directional chart. Probably there's an associative possibility for these 8. You know, it happens. But you can see how they might be like basic survival necessities for a mendicant or something like that. They're shoes, an umbrella, clothes, ring. What's this? Ring. Gourd, and gourd could refer to this utensil that's carried by mendicants. That, this, it's for the water pot, a dry gourd, a calabash. I got to use it. Yeah, that's been dried, that you carry for water or for accepting donations of food and other things. As well as a seat. A vessel is also mentioned, maybe for cooking and food itself.
And water carrying.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought the gourd.
Oh, yeah.
But who knows?
Okay.
It has gourd vessel both in here, so you can think of that as you may.
That's only 6.
Let me go through them again. Umbrella, shoes, clothes, ring, gourd, seat, vessel, food. Got it?
I don't have the order right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So
umbrella was first.
Umbrella was first.
Then shoes, clothes, ring, gourd, seat, vessel, food.
All right. Thank you.
10. A vessel full of gingelly seeds or butter and a bed with all its equipment should be gifted, or all those articles which are liked by the donor. Horse, chariot, she-buffalo, fan, and cloth, all these should be given to the Brahmins. O Lord, these gifts and others should be given as far as possible. He who has done atonement given 10 gifts on this earth, or the gift of Vaitarani cow, or 8 gifts, or the gifts of a vessel full of gingelly seeds, or clarified butter, or the gift of bed, or of pada as described in the Shastras, does not go to hell. The wise have prescribed the gift of salt to be given freely.
Because everybody needs it. Interesting.
15. The salt is produced from the body of Vishnu. We already had that, right? Salt is sweat from Vishnu's body or something?
I don't remember it being put quite that way, but
just recently.
Perhaps.
15. The salt is produced from the body of Vishnu. When the soul of the dying person does not leave the body, but lingers on, the salt should be gifted as it opens the door of the heaven.
Okay, what number is salt equals Vishnu?
This is 15. This is all 15. Although it the end of the previous 12 to 14 chunk, it ends with the wise who prescribed the gift of salt to be given freely.
Right.
15. The salt is produced from the body of Vishnu. When the soul of the dying person does not leave the body but lingers on, the salt should be gifted as it opens the door of the heaven. Whatever gifts a man has given himself, they all stand in his favor at the honor of death. Gifting to yourself, you can do that?
Why not?
Cool.
We give ourselves things.
Yeah. No, I think it's it's sort of maybe wise to see that as your gifting to yourself. You're one among the people that you need to give gifts to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's an interesting observation, I think.
That's 16.
Yeah. 17. Addressing Garuda, O bird, the man who has completed atonements in all its parts is placed in heaven after all his sins are washed away. O noble bird, since the cow's milk is nectar, whosoever gifts a cow attains immortality. Whosoever gives the 8 gifts lives in the abode of the Gandharvas. He who gets shelter even in the tortuous hell named Raudra, where the sinners are burnt, if he gifts an umbrella, he encounters the comfortable shade in the tree. No, in the way. The comforting, excuse me, I just garbled it. If he gifts an umbrella, he encounters the comforting shade in the way. So also he passes comfortably through the fierce Asipatravana. If he gifts shoes, he moves there too, mounting a horse. So you got to go to hell, but you get a nice seat in the shade of the one tree in Asipatravana, and if you give people shoes, you get to ride a horse. That would be an advantage. It's supposed to be hot every time you set your foot down, so you get to ride a horse. Of course, your horse might be a little light on its feet, if you know it. Okay, 22. If he gives food, the seat he eats, sitting comfortably in the way. No, if he gives food and seat, jeez. If he gives food and seat, he eats sitting comfortably in the way. So if you give in your lifetime gifts of food and a place to sit, and then you get a comfortable seat on the bus to hell. If he gives a water jar, he feels comfortable even in the waterless region. Thirsty? Not thirsty. 23. I love that. I like this. I mean, I kind of don't, but it's like super manipulative, but mostly to good end, right?
Well,
gifting, giving gifts to those, distributing wealth rather than keeping it stuck.
They're trying to motivate people that have so much they can afford to give stuff.
Yeah, well, it says to the best of your ability, ideally, this is what you would give. It should be of this order of magnitude if you were a person of that age that were well enough off in society that you were actually considering doing rituals and paying a priest to help you, You've got some money, you've got something. All right, 23. He who gives clothes and ornaments liberally is not tortured by the fierce messengers of Yama, who are black and yellow in color. You see them coming, you'll know them. O bird, if a vessel full of gingelly seeds is donated to a Brahmin, it destroys all the 3 types of sin born of his voice, body, and mind. That would be a good one to remember. Just a vessel full of gingelly seeds, and you take care of a whole bunch. 25, 26. If he gifts a vessel full of clarified butter, he stays in Rudraloka. That's nice. Shiva's country. If he gifts a bed along with all its equipment, he rides an aerial car in the company of fairies and enjoys in the abode of Indra for 60,000 years. We have a bed available, by the way, right now. And we would love to.
We have it.
We'd love to make
We have it.
Oh,
I think we have.
We have somebody. We have a taker.
I believe so.
Oh, goody. Well, we'll be riding in an aerial car in the company of fairies.
What a surprise! Wonder where we're going.
Shopping. All right, 27, 28. After falling down from Indraloka, he becomes a monarch in this world. So you get 60,000 years driving your car around with a bunch of fairies in the abode of Indra, and then you fall to this world to be a king among men. Not bad. Give a bed. That's crazy. These are good ones to remember. He who gifts a young faultless horse along with all equipment to a Brahmin that lives in heaven, O bird, for years, equal to the number of hair on the body of a horse. If he gifts a chariot drawn by 4 horses, along with the contiguous equipment to a learned Brahmin, he reaps the benefit of performing a Rajasuya. Finally, it's going to tell us what that is, hopefully. It's got a footnote, a great sacrifice performed by a universal monarch, in other words, like an emperor, like above a king, in which the tributary princes also took part, it's putting it in the past tense, at the time of his coronation as a mark of his undisputed sovereignty. Okay.
So it's part of the coronation ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps. It sounds like it might be something that comes after the horse sacrifice, because that's what sort of establishes the universal monarchness based on, the roaming of the horse and the territory that he has to claim and defend. 31. If he donates to a brahmana milk-yielding buffalo with her plump hind parts and a golden ornament on her forehead, accompanied by her satiated calf, what wonder is there that he attains in heaven? 32. If he donates a fan, it tells us in Sanskrit, this is a tala vrinta. Talavrinta, he is fanned by air in the way. If he donates a cloth, he becomes full of luster, wealth, and prosperity. If he donates a horse along with salt, food, and other ingredients to a Brahmin, his family does not suffer a break, and he goes to heaven after death. O bird, there's a difference in result according to faith and gifts. He who donates water and salt gets enjoyment in distress. He who donates food with a heart purified by faith is satiated even without food. If he accepts sannyasa as prescribed in the sacred texts, he is not reborn, but is merged into Brahma itself. If he dies at a sacred place, he attains moksha after dying there. If he dies in the way, each and every step he has taken in reaching this place procures for him the fruit of performing a sacrifice. There is no doubt in this. And I've encountered this myself in India, because I've, part of my Indian tourism is I like to go to the sacred places and hop on the pilgrimage route with the pilgrims that are either walking there or whatever. I mean, ultimately you're walking there. One of the most widespread myths of the story, because of the journey, is that you'll get liberation if you die on the trip. Because they're often, especially for the poorest kind of transport, it's often involves something like hauling the entire family onto a dangerous bus driving through a mountain to get to some holy shrine, because they always seem to put them up in the mountains.
Or crossing a river that's really too deep and running too fast.
Or
whatever it is.
Everybody crowding onto these boats that are overloaded with people that are trying to cross rivers to get. There are a lot of, and just the general difficulty, because people often also go on pilgrimage because they think they're dying or they're ill and they're seeking some sort of release from.
Especially certain places like Varanasi. It's a good example.
Yeah, well, Varanasi, you get to go on pilgrimage there even after you die, because it's the auspicious place to be cremated and have your ashes distributed. So anyway, the mythology of yatra, pilgrimage. If he undertakes a fast unto death, he does not return to this world, O bird. That's an interesting one, because of, well, for various reasons, I think of Gandhi and the popularizing, in a sense, if you will.
Which one are you doing?
39. The idea of fasting unto death is as a political act.
No rebirth, right?
But it probably is speaking of this as a spiritual act.
Well, one assumes.
It's interesting. I'm just seeing a mention in an early Hindu text, and kind of see that this has to be considered among the roots of the practice as it emerged under Gandhi and others in India and beyond, because it kind of came through Gandhi.
Yeah, well,
who was doing this before Gandhi as a public political act?
The Celts were.
The Celts, of course.
They were, there was this tradition that if somebody wronged you, you went and sat on their doorstep and didn't eat or drink until they relented.
Or somehow
or until you died.
Yeah.
So, very similar.
Serious public shaming that you would, basically put it in your hands and say, all right, you have the power to change this
for a while,
or you can let me die. If he undertakes a fast unto death, he does not return to this world, O bird. I have given the answer to your queries about gifts. Now I shall tell you about the obsequies and the funeral rites of the deceased, because that's one of the main themes of the Garuda Purana. Over and over we come back to the death rituals. So, when it is ascertained that life is gone out of the body, the son should bathe and wash the corpse with pure water without delay. Having clothed it afresh, they should smear the body with sandal paste. The son or the successor should perform the Ekodishta rite afterwards. Footnote 1. Funeral rite performed for one definite individual deceased, not including other ancestors.
In other words, the initial funeral for somebody.
And not an ancestral funeral, but this specific person. This is their specific. Then the arrangement for cremating the corpse should be made as far as the means allow. The following 4 should not be undertaken in the cremation rite: Avahana, Archana, Patralamba, and Avagahana. Okay. Let there be sankalpa for each gift, and let there be a pindadana, gifting of the pinda, the ball. Ball of rice. 45. The 5 articles common to every sacrifice should not be there. The libation of water should be given, but not the trio. Svadhavachna, Ashish, and Tilaka, O bird. A vessel full of mustard should be given. Iron should also be gifted. The Pinda Chalana rite is followed, but not the following 3: Prachadana, Visarga, and Svastivachana. Procedure has been laid down for 6 shraddhas at 6 places: at the place of death, at the door, at the crossroads, at the place of rest, on the wood pile, and at the collection rite. The dead body is called Shava at the place of death. The deity Earth is pleased thereby. 50. It is called Panta at the door. The deity Vastu is pleased. It is called Khichara at the crossroads. The deity Buddha is pleased. Now, Vastu is the lord of place. Bhuta means ghost. There's a connection between the ghost and the place. The Vastu
crossroads.
And the crossroads here.
So, Hecate and the ghosts and crossroads are all connected to each other, too. And she's Etruscan originally.
It is called Bhuta in the resting place. Again, Bhut, ghost. The 10 quarters are satisfied thereby. It is called Sadhaka on the pyre, and Preta at the collection rite. And Preta is a word that we sometimes, call goblin, just because Bhut, Pret, ghost, goblin. As far as I know, that's the main reason. I don't know technically what a goblin would be, but it's also the alternate name for this section of the Garuda Purana is the Preta Kanda, or the Dharma Kanda. So 52. Holding Jinjali seeds, Dharma, clarified butter, the sons and other relatives go round the pyre reciting Gata or Sukta of Yama. 52.
So we did these are where the ghosts 51. Show up, right?
Yeah. 50-51. Ghosts. Holding Jinjali seeds, Dharma, clarified butter, the sons and other relatives go round the pyre, reciting Gata or Sukta of Yama, taking cow, horse, man, and bull every day. Yama is not satiated, just as a wicked person is not satiated with wine. They should receive the Gata or the hymn Apeta in the way. The relatives accompany the corpse to a forest in the southern direction. O bird, in the aforesaid manner, the 2 shraddhas should be performed in the way. Then the corpse should be laid lightly on the earth with its head to the south, and the aforesaid shraddha should be performed. The sons should fetch dry grass, dry pieces of wood, and Jinjali seeds. If these are fetched by a Shudra, each and every act done in favor of the deceased would go futile. The performer of the funeral rite should wear the sacred thread over the right shoulder and should sit along with the mourners facing the south. The south is the direction that Yama is the guardian of. O bird, an altar should be made there as prescribed. The cloth for the corpse should be torn into twofold pieces, and the corpse should be covered with the one half. The other half should be spread over the earth. The pinda should be kept in the hand of the deceased, as stated before. The corpse should be anointed with the clarified butter. Now hear about the pinda vidhi for the deceased prior to his cremation. This is like the pinda wisdom, the pinda knowledge. By virtue of the aforesaid 5 pindas, the departed soul attains fitness for becoming a main, pitar, an ancestor. Or else it attains the form of a demon, literally the fathers. He can become one of the fathers, or he can be a demon. Having cleansed and smeared the ground at the altar, the fire should be lit as prescribed. Having worshipped the deity named Kravyada with flowers and grains of rice, the wise man should lighten fire according to the Vedic rites, but avoid Chandala, Chitta, or Patita fires. So I don't know quite what the Chitta or Patita fires are, but a Chandala fire would be a low caste fire. I mean, I suppose it's a fire made by low caste people, because I don't think fire itself has caste. But you are the creator of creators, the birthplace of the world, the protector of the people. Please, therefore, consume the corpse and carry the soul to heaven. Having thus worshipped the deity Kravyada, the meat-devouring fire god, he should set fire to the corpse.
That's an interesting one. What verse is that?
65.
Did they give the name of that fire god?
Yeah, Kravyada. K-R-A-V-Y-A with a line over it.
K-R-A?
K-R-A-V-Y-A with a line over it. D-A. Kravyada. The meat-devouring fire god. When the body is half burnt, a quantity of clarified butter should be poured over it with the mantra, "You are born from it, you are born from it, let this be for heaven, swaha." And swaha again is the syllable that generally accompanies the act of putting clarified butter into the sacrificial fire in any ritual, at the end of the mantra.
Where is this?
This is in 66 to 68.
And,
chunk.
Okay. You were born with it? You were born with it? Is that what it was?
You are born from it.
You are born from it.
No. Well, let me see. Yeah, there's a couple of things. When the body is half burned, a quantity of clarified butter should be poured over it with the mantra, "You are born from it, you are born again." No, you be born again. You are born from it, you be born again. Let this be for heaven, swaha. He should recite this mantra, announcing the name of the deceased, and pour forth butter along with the gingelly seeds while the relatives weep loudly. This gives comfort to the departed soul still wandering in the air. After cremating the corpse, the rite of collection should be done there. I like it tells you that the relatives should be weeping loudly at this point. Relatives, and this gives comfort to the departed soul. So they actually want you to be sorry and sad at their departure now. And if you don't feel it, act it out, because it's part of the necessity. I don't know if they had the practice like they did in England and other places of hiring mourners.
It was the case in Greece, too.
This gives comfort to the departed soul. After cremating the corpse, the rite of collection should be done there. 6970. O bird, Preta Pinda is given in order to comfort the deceased. Then, having circumambulated the pyre and casting a mournful look at it, the mourners should go for bath, muttering the hymn, with the youth marching ahead. Then, having reached water and washed cloth, they should wear the same, saying for the deceased, "We are taking bath." Then they all, each wearing one cloth only, with shaven heads, wearing the sacred thread over the right shoulder, should enter water silently. The bathers should not agitate water. Then coming out of the water to the bank, tying their sika, the knot of hair at the center of the head, they should take in their right hand kusha grass and water with the jingeli seeds, and offer the same in the southern direction, Yama's direction, pouring it from the Paitrika Tirtha over the earth silently once, thrice, or 10 times. Be gratified with this pinda, O preta, of such and such gotra. Let this water reach you. Reciting this formula, he should let the water go down. After giving the water offerings, he should cleanse his teeth, O bird. The water offering shall be done regularly for 9 days by all his kith and kin. Then coming out of the water, they wear the same clothes as before, while they rinse the bathing dress, which they spread over the clean earth for drying. They should abstain from shedding tears while giving the water offerings after cremation, but if they shed tears and vomit, cough, the departed spirit consumes the same helplessly. Hence they should neither weep nor cough. The entire ritual should be performed according to the means. And when they have sat quietly, a learned person well versed in the Purana should alleviate their sorrow, discoursing on the temporality of time and the unsubstantial nature of the universe. He should tell them about the hollowness of life, and if anybody searches substance inside the human body resembling the trunk of a banana tree, he's a perfect fool. For it is like the water bubble. The body is constituted of 5 elements, and if it goes back to the elements of virtue of bodily actions, what is there to be lamented for? The earth, ocean, and even deities are bound to be destroyed. The same fate awaits the universe which has arisen like a bubble. How it can escape destruction? Thus he should speak to them about the transient nature of life, while they all sit on the soft grass in the courtyard of the cremation ground. 86-87. Having heard this, the mourners should return home with the youngsters walking in front. At the door of their house, they should chew the margosa leaves, rinse their mouths with water and touching cow dung, jingeli seeds, durva grass, coral, bull, or any other auspicious thing, and keeping their feet lightly on the stone, they should enter the house. Ahit Agni should kindle the sacred fire according to the Vedic rites. And the footnote on Ahit Agni is a twice-born who consecrates the sacred fire. So a person of relatively upper caste should kindle the fire. According to Vedic rites, he should not dig up the earth for less than 2 years. The water offering should be made on return to the house. A woman who has been chaste and faithful to her husband should mount on the pyre after bowing to her deceased husband before the funeral rite starts. One who gets away from the pyre due to fainting should observe the vow named Prajapatya. One who ascends the pyre and follows up her husband stays in heaven for a period equal to the number of hairs on the body, 3.5 crore, if you're counting. It tells us that. 92. Just as the snake charmer takes out the snake from the hole, so also she takes out her husband from hell and enjoys with him in paradise. She who ascends the pyre goes to heaven. She is praised by the celestial nymphs and enjoys with her husband so long as the 14 Indras rule in heaven successively. Even if a man has killed a Brahmin or a friend or any other person of noble conduct, he is purified of sins by his wife who ascends his pyre. A woman who enters the fire after the death of her husband prospers in heaven like Arundhati. Until and unless the woman burns herself after her husband's death, she is never released from the bond of her sex. A woman who follows her husband purifies the 3 families on her mother's sides, the 3 families on her father's side, and the 3 families on her husband's side. Probably generations.
Mm-hmm.
That woman is chaste who is sad when her husband is sad, who is glad when her husband is glad, and who pines when he is out of station, and dies when he is dead. Common rites are enjoined for all women rituals are enjoined for all women, right from Brahmana to Chandali, except for those who are pregnant or have young children. Basically from Brahma to the lowest caste woman, Chandali being feminine. Except for those who are pregnant or who have young children. So if you're pregnant or have young children, then different rituals are done. O bird, I have told you in general about the method of cremating the corpse. Do you want to hear something more with reference to that?
So the sati stuff goes through 100.
Yeah.
And we should comment about this.
Should we?
Yeah, we should. It is traditional to do this because of the story of Sati, I think, in the Shaivite traditions.
As mentioned in the Shiva Purana.
Right.
And lots of other places. It was the sacrifice of Daksha in which Shiva was not invited to the ritual.
Right.
And his Daksha being his father-in-law, his wife's father, she had basically come storming onto the scene and read him the riot act, and then threw herself into the sacrificial fire and burned. She didn't do that because her husband had died, but because her father had dishonored her husband. Shiva came and appeared on the scene and frankly was indifferent enough that he could have let it slide, but his wife, and finding her body on the sacrificial fire, he was outraged and saddened, in his grief. He danced, and the Tandava dance, and as he danced carrying the body of his dead wife, the earth grew dark and the ground shook, and the gods got enough of it and began Vishnu was lobbing his little Sudarshana up there, chopping off goddess body parts that fell all over the sacred geography of India, creating each one a Shakti Pitta.
And these are real places with shrines, and they know the body part that they claim fell there. And anyway.
So it goes back to this. Now, the question of whether
piece, but this is the oldest story I know of, and in some cases, it's really about she's not allowed to marry Shiva because he's a weirdo.
We digress a lot from anyway, the issue of sati. Of course, obviously there's the whole question of whether a woman really had the freedom when she committed sati. There is an abuse suspected or recognized historically where it has occurred. But also to say it's a tradition doesn't mean to say that it was widely observed. I don't think that it was ever widely observed.
It's certainly being advocated here.
When sati was committed, it was rare enough that often historically it resulted in a shrine being built at that place. So there wouldn't be a shrine for every widow.
Right.
Because let's face it, men die sooner. There'd be a lot of widows, and if they were all jumping in the fire, you'd have to be walking on shrines.
Part of this is just this weirdness around the fact that the wife comes from another family community somewhere else. You bring her into your family, and she gives up her relations with those other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but she's never treated as a full family member by those who have blood relation to the patrilineal family.
It's all very clannish. And so one of the things to keep in mind is she doesn't really own anything of her own. So there's really no support for her when he dies. So again, this plays into it too, and it's all very twisted.
This is in theory and not always in practice. But,
right.
But sometimes it is, and especially if a husband dies young and the woman is in a sense a newcomer into the household, she doesn't get much respect. She's a burden, and
or treated like a servant.
And of course, we know what happens to widows. We've seen Water, the movie. Haven't we all seen that? And to see it, it's interesting. It talks about how widows were put into these kind of widow ashrams, right, where they would live on nothing. Anyway, this is a really long one, so let's keep going.
Keep going.
We may run out of memory before. Okay. Should we make it a two-parter?
We could.
We okay. Let's consider taking a break at some point here, even if the man is okay. The woman is chaste who is sad when her husband is sad, who is glad when her husband is glad, who is pines when he's out of station and dies when he's dead. Common rights are enjoined for all women, right from Brahmana to Chandali, except for those who are pregnant, who have young children. Then he asks Garuda, any more questions on this? And then Garuda says, if a man dies out of station and his bones are destroyed, then how should the rite of cremation be performed? Tell me, O Lord of the world. Lord Krishna said, if the bones of a person who died abroad are not available, I shall tell you about the procedure of rites of his death. O Garuda, hear. I shall now tell you the great secret about the rite of death for those who die through serpent, tiger-toothed, head-breaking, horned animals, disease, stone, water, Brahmana, dog, nails, iron, those who die of hunger, poison, fire, and cholera, those who are killed by a bull, a thief, a chandala, a woman in her menses, shunaki, shudra, washerman, those who commit suicide or die by fall from a tree, hill, wall, or precipice, those who die in water, on cot, in firmament, in bondage, those who are killed in urdhvochishta, urdhochishta, or ubhayochishta, those who die of wounds by weapon on horseback. And if I knew what those words meant, I would tell you. 110 to 112, all these deaths are known as bad deaths, where no rite of ardhva dehika or pindadana is performed. If the same is done by mistake, it is all destroyed in the air. By desiring welfare of the deceased and out of fear of the people's reproach, his sons or grandsons or sapindas should perform Narayana Bali, O bird. By that the relatives of the deceased are purified. This is stated by Yama. There are no other means. When Narayana Bali is performed, they become fit for Ardhvadehika. Except Narayana Bali, there is no rite for their purification. The Narayana Bali should be performed in some holy place through the Brahmanas, preferably in the temple of Lord Krishna for the sake of purification. I think that we've gotten into a whole new section, and maybe we should break it here and then continue the section on Narayana Bali. But it's a long section, but it's very interesting. So thanks for joining us.
Lots of death ritual.
Yeah, we'll continue this.